Hi, my name is Robert Dean Steele, and I've been reflecting and giving you something to think about because we had a special prayer meeting just tonight. And this fifth video is basically the conclusion of what God spoke to our hearts in that prayer meeting. This one I'm going to share with you is not going to be easy, but I believe it needs to be a challenge. The reason I say that is because one of the things that God brought to us and to our attention is the fact that we are living in a loveless generation. You say, what do you mean by a loveless generation? Jonathan Edwards, when he was looking at New England in his generation, there were 5 things that he prayed for. The first one was that the love of God would be shed abroad in the hearts of people. He saw his society as loveless. They didn't love God, and they certainly didn't love their fellow man. And that's what's happened to many of us. Oh, we say, well, I love my fellow man. If you really loved your fellow man, and you know their destiny, anyone who does not know Jesus Christ as their personal Lord and Savior, doesn't matter how nice they are, doesn't matter what wonderful things they do, they could be like Mr. Warren Buffett and give $37 billion to charity. But you see, it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how much money you give to the poor. If you do not know Jesus Christ, if Jesus Christ is not Lord and Savior of your life, you have only one thing to look forward to, and that is eternal judgment. It's a terrible thing to even think about. But Jesus made it very clear. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man can come to the Father but by me. Do you love your fellow man enough to do that? Let me share a story from my own life. When I was just a brand new Christian, I went into my brother's home, and my brother, who at the age of 14 or 15, was called by God. And I shared the gospel with him. And it didn't turn out so good. And basically, I was forbidden to speak about Jesus Christ anymore in that home. It broke my heart that my own brother's family would reject the gospel according to how I saw it. And of course, how I saw it was the fact that my brother, who had been a servant of the living God, was no longer a servant of the living God. I just wanted him to serve the Lord. And I had spent 3 hours talking to him about it. But as I said, it kind of went sideways on me. Well, you know what? It broke my heart when that happened. But did it stop me from praying for my brother's salvation? Absolutely not. And even today, I'm praying for my brother's salvation. I'm praying for my family's salvation. But I was willing to tell him, even if it meant that there was going to be a breaking of fellowship, we weren't as close as we should have been. And you know what? I believe that God's going to restore that relationship. And I believe that my brothers are going to get saved. I believe that my family is going to be serving the Lord. But it's not easy to see that happen. But you know what? It's not the end of the story. The end of the story is I believe that one day he will serve the Lord. And I believe one day that your loved one's going to serve the Lord. But you know what? You got to have the courage to tell them. Because you know if they don't give their lives to Christ, you know what's going to happen. Let me share another life experience. I've had 2 fathers. I've had a biological father, and I've also had a stepdad. My stepdad, of course, gave me my namesake, which is Steele. And both men went to a lost eternity. It wasn't that they didn't know. In fact, I had a conversation with my biological father not long before he had passed away. And he said, yeah, I know what you're trying to get across, but, I'm not ready. Well, you know what? As far as I know, when he passed away, he wasn't ready. And it broke my heart to realize that both of these men who knew the ways of God, or at least knew the way of salvation, would reject it and go to a lost eternity. It broke my heart. And it'll break your heart as well. You must be willing to tell them. And then after you tell them, pray like there is no tomorrow for them. Because you don't want them to go to a lost eternity. You need to tell them. You got to have the courage to tell them. And that will only happen when you say today, Lord, I want to love those around me. I don't want to be loveless. I want to know that the love of God is compelling me to share you either through my actions or occasionally through my words. You see, we touch more people by how we live than by what we say. Many people say, well, he doesn't live his faith. If that's your testimony, you need to start living your faith. You need to be an example of Jesus Christ. You need to be that way. And you know what? When you are that way, you will change your world. So I encourage you today, let the love of God flow through you. Don't be a loveless Christian, but be a Christian that demonstrates your love for others by sharing with them the love of God in whatever tangible way. And if the Lord allows you an opportunity, don't shirk back. Step forward and say with confidence, I know there's an answer to your situation. There is an answer. His name is Jesus Christ, and we need to share him. My name is Robert Dean Steele. You have yourself a great and godly day.